Hey everyone, Luna here and welcome to my tutorial on how to record games for free using OBS Studio. If you don't already have OBS, you can go to obsproject.com and download OBS Studio by clicking on one of these three buttons based on your operating system. When you open OBS, it's probably going to look like this, but anyway, I'm going to show you the settings so you can record in HD, 60 FPS and also have multiple audio tracks. But please make sure to watch to the end so I can show you how to add sources, or you're just going to end up with a blank screen. So to start off, you want to go to settings by clicking on the settings button in the bottom right corner. In settings, you're going to see all these tabs. I'm going to go over the important settings for recording. So I'm starting with general, and nothing here is really important, but I do want to note that I do have mine on dark theme instead of default theme. So we're going to skip over stream since nothing is really important there and go to output. Output is probably the most important one since it contains all the recording settings. So what you want to do is change output mode to advanced, and then you want to go to the recording tab. Once you're in the recording tab, you want to change your recording path to wherever you want to save your video, and you want to change the recording format to MP4 since that's probably the best format. And for now you want to select audio tracks 1 and 2, but this may change later depending on how many audio tracks you do decide to have. But for most people, 2 is fine. This is where it changes depending on your computer. So there's two encoders, the NVENC, which is for NVIDIA cards, and the X264. If you've got a NVIDIA graphics card, select this one. If you don't, then select X264. So I'm going to go through both settings starting with the NVIDIA encoder. So for rate control, you're going to use CQP, and for CQP, you're going to set this between 15 and 25. I recommend something around 23, which is default. The higher you go, the worse quality. The lower you go, the better quality, the bigger file size, and the better computer you're going to have. So I do recommend around 23, which seems to be pretty good. If you do have multiple GPUs, you can change what GPU the encoder uses to encode the video. Now I'm going to go over the X264 encoder. So what you want to do is set this to CRF and change this between 15 and 25 again. So it's the same thing. The higher you go, the worse quality. The lower you go, the bigger file size, but the better quality and the better computer you need. So again, I recommend around 23, but you can change this based on your computer. In my opinion, X264 is more laggy than the NVIDIA encoder, but if you can't do anything else, it should be good as long as you set it a little bit lower if you're lagging. So nothing here really matters that much. You can change this. If you've got a slow computer, you're going to want to set this to super fast or ultra fast, but I really don't recommend changing this because it's pretty much fine for every computer. So now we're going to move on to the audio tab. In audio, you're going to set the bitrate to 320 for each track, even if you're not using them. So that's pretty much all for audio in the output tab. Now we're actually going to go to the audio tab. In the audio tab, you want to set the sample rate to 48 kHz. In some situations, 44 is better, but generally 48 is fine. For channels, you want to set that to stereo. For a desktop audio device, you want to set that to your speakers or your headset, but generally by default, it will be on the right one, or you can just select default for it to go to the default device. So for desktop audio device 2, don't worry about that unless you have a complex setup and you want 2 audio devices. For microphone, you're going to set this to your microphone, or you can set it to default again for it to select the default one. There's 2 other microphones, but generally most people aren't going to use them. But if you do, you can select your other microphones there. So the rest of these settings are for push to talk, but most people won't use them, and the settings are pretty obvious anyway, so we're going to move to the video tab. In the video tab, you'll see base resolution. You want to set this to whatever your monitor is. It should be set up by default. For output resolution, that's pretty much the resolution that your video is going to be in, but I'm going to set mine to 1080p, which is the same as my monitor's resolution. You can search up resolutions online like 1080p resolution, and it will tell you the numbers, but generally people want 1080p, so you'll set it to 1920 by 1080. For downscale resolution, you can go with any of these, but I recommend the last one. I'm not really sure how to say that, but if you're not downscaling it, it shouldn't really affect it anyway. For FPS, you can set this to 30 or 60, but it depends on what you really want, but I recommend 60. So now we're going to move to the Hotkeys tab. In the Hotkeys tab, you can set hotkeys for these different events. I do recommend having a hotkey for recording as it makes it easier, but I don't recommend having it for streaming as you can accidentally start streaming. And it's pretty obvious, you just click on it and set the hotkey, but I'm not going to do that now as I'm already recording with another OBS in the background. In the advanced tab, there isn't really much to change. If you are getting laggy recordings, you can set this to above normal and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, you want to change your output settings and lower them a bit. Other than that, you can set the color range to full, and the other stuff should be fine by itself. You can also change the file name format. So that's pretty much all. You want to press apply and restart the program. When OBS restarts, you want to press this little cog thing here next to mixer. So you want to set your microphone to track 1 only and your desktop audio to track 2 only. And if you've got other devices, you can set them to 3 and 4. So there's one more thing that you need to do to actually record your game, and that's to add a source. So you go to the sources box here, right click, and then press game capture. So you're gonna need to add a new one of these for each game. So you're gonna type in the name of the game. I've got Minecraft open, and you're gonna go to, under mode, you're gonna go to capture specific window, and for the window you select the right one. Most of the stuff you leave the same, but you can disable capture cursor because you don't really want your mouse on the screen most of the time. Once you've got your source, you want to open your game, then go back to your recording. So your game might not fit on the screen properly. What you want to do is go right click on it, go to transform, and then go to stretch to screen, and it should fit on the screen perfectly fine. So one last thing that I forgot to mention is a visibility. So if you don't want to record Minecraft, you can set that to invisible, and if you've got another game underneath, you set that to visible, and then you'll be able to see the other game. So that's pretty much all for this tutorial. Anyway, that's going to be all. Hopefully I didn't forget to mention anything, but please do make sure to subscribe and tell me if it worked in the comments. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.